Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're jumping straight into a fascinating fable. But listen, don't let the word fable fool you. This isn't just some simple bedtime story. What we're actually looking at is a profoundly deep psychological case study all about the moral divide between contentment and greed. We're going to see two radically different worldviews smash into each other and see exactly what that collision reveals about the true nature of value.
So here's the arc of the golden curse we'll be following today. We've got 5 sections. 2 men, 2 philosophies. The meaning of true value. Facing injustice with resilience. The curse of greed. And finally, grace and redemption. Let's get right into it. Section 1. 2 men, 2 philosophies. Okay, so our source material drops us right into this quiet little village called Sundergaard. And here is where we meet Raghav. He's a poor but incredibly talented sculptor. Like, we're talking about a guy who can carve clay and stone so perfectly that his statues look like they might actually speak to you. But here's the thing about Raghav. He is the absolute embodiment of contentment. He earns just enough to feed himself and his elderly mother. And why is that? Because he literally views his creativity as a gift to be shared, not something to just be exploited. He creates for the pure joy of his soul. His motivation? It's entirely internal.
Now, we have to contrast him with Dunpat. Dunpat is a proud, incredibly wealthy landlord, and the difference here is just stark. While Raghav has this deep internal peace, Dunpat is defined by perpetual unrest. I mean, despite having all these vast riches, his mind is literally never at peace. He's completely consumed by this external, insatiable drive to just accumulate more wealth, more power. It's kind of the ultimate psychological dichotomy, right? You have the man who has nothing but feels complete versus the man who has everything but feels entirely empty.
So the conflict between these two kicks off with a massive inciting incident, the creation of an absolute masterpiece. While out in the forest, Raghav stumbles upon this really unique, glowing white stone. He's deeply inspired by it, brings it home, and works tirelessly. 7 days and 7 nights straight. The result is this breathtakingly beautiful statue of a fairy. It's so magnificent that anyone who lays eyes on it is instantly just spellbound.
Moving on to Section 2, the meaning of true value.
The creation of this statue essentially forces these two men to confront their fundamental disagreement on what something is actually worth. 50 gold coins! When word of this masterpiece finally reaches Donpat, he rushes over to Raghav's hut. And when he sees the statue's ethereal beauty, his eyes instantly gleam with greed. He doesn't see art at all. He sees an acquisition. He immediately throws an offer of 50 gold coins at Raghav and demands he hand it over. He's literally trying to slap a hard price tag on a piece of soulful art.
But Raghav, he just bows respectfully and refuses. He says, "I did not create it for money, but for the pure joy of my soul. It holds a very special place in my heart." I love this response because his refusal is grounded in such complete sincerity. He's basically telling Donpat that the statue's value absolutely cannot be quantified by gold. Its worth is entirely found in the emotional connection he formed while creating it.
And this brings us to such a fascinating conceptual clash. See, in Donpat's worldview, value is a commodity. It's just something to be bought and sold for gold. But in Raghav's worldview, value is a connection. It holds priceless emotional significance. It kind of makes you wonder about ourselves, right? How often do we, in our own modern lives, confuse a connection for a commodity? How often do we try to put a price tag on something that is intrinsically priceless?
Which brings us to Section 3, facing injustice with resilience.
When 2 completely different value systems like this collide, a clash is basically inevitable. Dunpat just cannot process the refusal. His pride is deeply, deeply wounded because his wealth, which is literally his entire mechanism for interacting with the world, has completely failed to buy what he wants. So in a violent rage, he resorts to force. He actually orders his henchmen to push the poor artisan aside and forcefully seize the statue. The man of endless unrest literally takes from the man of internal peace.
And this brilliantly illustrates Raghav's incredible psychological resilience. The source specifically notes that while he was deeply saddened by the injustice, Raghav chose to remain calm, placing his trust in the universe. I mean, that response is staggering. He doesn't fight back with violence. He doesn't fall into despair. He proves that his internal value system is entirely separate from and completely untouched by the material world that Donpat is desperately trying to control.
All right, Section 4, the curse of greed.
Because as we know, actions have consequences. Donpat takes this stolen, magnificent statue and places it in his grandest room. But late that night, he's awakened by a melodious voice. The marble statue starts glowing with divine light and actually transforms into a living, breathing fairy. And the rules of her magic are pretty simple. Whoever touches her with a deep desire awakens her to grant exactly one wish.
One wish. It is the ultimate psychological test. And Donpat fails it instantly. Any fear he had totally vanishes, instantly replaced by this overwhelming, reckless greed. He demands, "I want boundless gold. Make me the richest man in the entire world." The fairy grants it, sure, but with an absolutely horrifying caveat. From that moment on, the very first thing he touches after his wish takes effect will turn into solid gold.
Now notice the terrifying, rapid escalation of his unchecked greed here. Minute 1, he's overjoyed, touches his bed. It instantly turns to solid gold. Minute 2, he touches the walls, gleaming gold. He is literally laughing like a madman. But then, fast forward to minute 15, he feels a burning thirst in the garden. He grabs a glass of water, and instantly, both the glass and the water turn into cold, hard gold. He can't even drink. And then, tragedy strikes. Minute 16, his young, innocent daughter comes running into the room and throws her arms around him. Before he can even push her away, his beloved child turns into a lifeless golden statue.
Section 5. Grace and Redemption. The frantic high of Donpat's greed just vanishes, instantly replaced by a crushing reality. The realization of his devastating actions hits him like a total thunderbolt. Horrified, he falls to his knees, picks up the heavy stone statue of the fairy, and runs straight back to the humble hut. This wealthy, arrogant landlord is completely shattered. He literally throws himself at the sculptor's feet, weeping bitterly, begging for forgiveness and pleading with Ragov to save his lifeless daughter. He submits entirely to the very man he had just violently abused.
Now really notice Ragov's reaction here. He could have gloated, right? He could have demanded the gold back for sure. But instead, his heart melts at the sight of this broken father. He responds with pure compassion. He gently takes the statue back and touches its feet, not with greed, but with profound respect and humility. And the fairy manifests once again.
Listen closely to Ragov's wish. He says, "O divine spirit, I seek no wealth or gold. This man's arrogance has been shattered, and he understands his mistake. Please give life back to his innocent daughter and restore everything to how it was." Think about that. Even with infinite power quite literally at his fingertips, Ragov's only desire is to heal another person's pain. His ultimate selflessness is the direct, total antithesis of Donpat's ultimate greed.
Touched by Ragov's pure selflessness and compassion, the fairy smiles warmly. And the story wraps up by demonstrating that internal peace and grace truly do triumph over external wealth and force. The immense damage caused by viewing the world purely as a commodity to be exploited, well, it's healed by a man who views the world through a lens of connection and compassion.
So, as we conclude our breakdown of this incredible source material, I want to leave you with a final thought to mull over. Whose definition of wealth are you actually living by? Are you chasing an insatiable external accumulation like Donpat, constantly unrested? Or are you cultivating the internal peace and soulful joy of Ragov? Take a moment to really reflect on your own worldview. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you on the next one.